I'm Joanne Avery, and I'm the proud superintendent of Anderson School District 4, which is located in Pendleton, South Carolina. Our school district is a small school district. We're about 3,000 students. We're comprised of 6 schools, 4 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and our high school is Pendleton High School. I would say there are some amazing, extraordinary things that are happening in our school district. It has been high achieving for many years. There's predecessors before me that have truly laid the foundation for excellence. And we have learned from that era and are certainly greeting the new challenges with innovation and creativity in ways to really ensure that our students are going to be ready for the 21st century. One of the things that the state has worked very hard on over the last couple of years, State Department, South Carolina Association of School Administrators, the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce, is to really look at what is the profile of the graduate and what do our graduates need to be successful when they leave us in high school. And so there's clearly content needs and being able to be conversational in multiple languages, STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, understanding. But then you also have soft skills in terms of, good work ethic, punctuality, all the things that you need in the world of work to be successful, as well as I call them the 4 C's, but those areas that are so invaluable that we teach when our 4-year-olds start entering in the doors of our schools, and that is, how to collaborate, how to be creative, communication, and critical thinking. And so all those things are really where we are focused on to ensure that our graduates, when they leave us, if they choose to go to a 2-year or 4-year school, they have the skills to be successful, or if they want to go straight into the world of work, they have what the industry needs. So, I'm excited about Anderson 4, and we've had lots of signs of achievement, and I would like to share a couple of those. I think academically, when we look at test results, our schools are performing exceptionally well and are usually in the top 10 to 12 school districts in the state, whether it's state testing or national testing. We clearly have done well on the Palmetto Gold Awards in terms of overall academic achievement, but also closing the gap between those, our different ethnicities and gender in terms of the students that we serve. In addition to that, we've had a lot of focus on health and wellness in our school district. And in the past 6 years, we've worked very hard to ensure that our schools have a healthy environment for our students and our employees to actually work and function at. And I'm proud to say that as of last year, we're the only school district in the state of South Carolina that has all of its schools that have achieved a national award through the Alliance for a Healthier Generation that is quite difficult to get in multiple areas that demonstrate we're doing good things for students. And we believe that a healthy student is a better student. We know that a healthy student has better attendance, behavior, focus, and performance. So I'm not sure that's a silver bullet, but we clearly do value the wellness of our students and also our employees, and so we are doing things to really support that effort. Another important initiative, or things that are happening in our district, as we look at the whole child, are those programs that teach all these characteristics and job skills through extracurricular activities. And I think we've demonstrated in multiple areas that our students are really achieving at the state and national level. We had our band was runner-up in the state once again. We've also had multiple state and national awards that have been achieved by our FFA program and AGA program at the high school. As well as our archery program has brought home 3 state back-to-back championships at the middle school level. And most recently, we had 2 students at the high school that for the very first time ever brought home the top first place award at the National Skills USA competition. And that was competing against thousands of students from all over the nation. So hopefully I'm painting a picture of that there's lots of opportunities here, but we also have some very high achieving students and outstanding employees and teachers that are really pushing the bar to ensure that our students are performing and achieving at a very high level. This past year we've been very busy. Since the 1-cent sales tax in 2014 that got passed, 20% of that revenue is to pay down debt service, so to help all of our taxpayers with lower property taxes countywide. But for districts 3, 4, and 5, some of that revenue has been earmarked for a new career center, which has a name now. It's called the Anderson Institute of Technology, and it will be located in Anderson School District 5 on the existing Lakeside Middle School property. It's an outstanding location because of the proximity to Tri-County Tech. Many of the pathways that we start at a career and technical center have a natural flow or pathway to the 2-year institute, and in our case Tri-County. And so by having it within walking distance for our students, it's really going to be a game changer, because not only are they going to be allowed to leave the institute as a high school graduate with industry certification, but they can actually continue their education and leave Tri-County Tech with an associate degree. So it really is a game changer. This past year we spent a lot of time focusing on not so much what students were interested in terms of classroom offerings or course offerings at the center, but in addition, what really did Anderson County need in terms of supplying the pipeline for the workforce. And so we worked very closely with folks from the Anderson County Economic and Development Office, and we actually retained a consultant to come in and to help us navigate those conversations. And so fast forward to this last June, we ended up with a better design, a physical design of the center that truly is going to meet the needs not just of our students but of Anderson County in terms of supplying employees that can just plug right into the workforce. So the design was approved, but we also have approved all the course offerings, and so it really is going to be a combination of tailoring to the industry that we have here in Anderson County, as well as interests that students have in careers of the future. Most recently, and we're very excited about this, is that we've started the conversation with business and industry in Anderson County to gain some partners as we move towards the opening of the Career Center, which will be in August of 2019. That seems a long way away, but honestly it's not. It'll be here before we know it. And there are so many things, as you can imagine, with collaborating 3 districts that operate very differently, coming together to consensus so that we all have that same vision. But recently Michelin agreed to be a partner, and so they will be very instrumental in coming in and helping us with the design of our mechatronics lab so that it fits the industry standard of what an employee that they have is working within their place of business. So we're very excited about growing those partnerships and really creating a super solution that's really going to help the economy here in Anderson County. Next steps for the Career Center really are looking at preparing a job announcement that will go out next fall sometime, and we are going to look for a director at the national level. We need a seasoned veteran, someone that understands career and technology education, understands how to interface with business and industry, really can be that spokesperson as well. And so we will post that position in the fall and then come back and hopefully have that person hired and in place by July 1 of 2017. And that is a date that our architects have told us that we will actually begin moving dirt and starting the construction. It's a very high-tech facility, so it will take clearly 2 years to get that facility built. In looking at the jobs of today and the future, we continue to hear the same message. And it's really a paradigm shift for parents, and I'm a parent too. We all want the best for our kids, and we think the 4-year degree is the pathway. But more and more we look at the statistics, and the reality is students that go to a four-year college, I don't know what the percentage is that actually are successful, but it's somewhere around maybe 40 to 50%, something like that. When they leave, they all don't get jobs, and so there's a high percentage that remain unemployed, and they also then carry all the debt that they incurred when they were in college. What we're seeing from the job market and the studies is that the majority of the jobs are really requiring a 2-year associate degree and work keys certification. And so that's a different message for our parents, that really, if you want high-paying jobs and you want to ensure your child, doesn't have exorbitant debt, and you want to be able to have some flexibility in your job search because there are opportunities, the real pathway that is successful is through the associate program, a 2-year degree. And there's jobs that are available that are high-paying, hourly jobs that you can get right out of high school. And one of the things that I've heard so often is that there's another way to get to a 4-year degree, because many industries, and Michelin is a wonderful example, you get employed after your 2-year degree, and then they have 100% reimbursement for getting that 4-year degree. So I think it's education of the community, but clearly parents and students, sharing where the jobs are and what opportunities and advantages there are. But also, if that 4-year degree is that driving focus, that there's another way to get there. That we think is probably more successful than straight out of high school. 16-17 is going to be an extraordinary year, and I use that word because there are so many exciting things that are happening in Anderson 4. Probably the biggest rollout this year is the continued conversation of our long-range facilities plan. We spent last year really interfacing in the community. We held 14 community meetings to talk about what's happening in our district, what the needs are, and where we need to head. And part of that conversation was looking at how we were going to spend our 1-cent sales tax money that we have additionally outside of the Career Center to spend on some needed projects. The board now is really faced with looking at next steps on how to handle some pretty significant renovation needs that we have district-wide, as well as whether or not the time is right to look at the construction of a new middle school or a new high school. So that's pretty important conversation, and certainly exciting, because with new construction comes new opportunities for our students here. And we feel also it's based on need, but also it's a real game changer for our community. Much like in Anderson County, we're experiencing the same trend related to the increase in retirees coming into the county. And so as we look at our enrollment numbers, we're very flat and have been for the last 10 years, and we're projected to stay that way. So we're not attracting young families with children as much as we are seniors that are looking for a great place to retire. But we think that obviously one of the benefits additionally with a new school is that it does attract families into the area. So that conversation will continue, as well as decisions on how we're going to spend the 1-cent sales tax. And we have lots of needs, from a new track to new baseball field to playgrounds, things that are important that we need district-wide. The next extraordinary thing that's happening in Anderson 4 is the final rollout of our One to World initiative, and that really is putting a digital device in every student's hands. And this is the final rollout, so that as of this August, students in grades 2, second grade, all the way through 12th will have their own device. And students in grades 4 and up will be able to carry that device back and forth from school to home, and we're very excited about that. That was never it has not been an instant initiative. We've been on this journey for 6 to 8 years. It includes lots of research and training with students and teachers and professional development, and really a conscientious effort to pick the right device. But we're very excited. We've already seen the benefits of having that type of technology in our students' hands, because again it goes back to the profile of the 21st century, that doesn't replace good teaching, but it's a wonderful resource to help with collaboration and creativity and critical thinking and all the things that are so important. Not to mention that technology skills are so essential in the workplace. Whether you drive a forklift, you interface with 2 or 3 screens that are computers, or you're an executive, you still have to be able to have those skills to work with technology. Another very exciting project that we'll be taking another year and expanding somewhat is our mentoring program at the high school. Last year I had the opportunity to speak with many of our African American faith-based leaders in the community, and they were very concerned with not so much about the African male graduating, although that was some of the conversation, but more about ensuring that once they did graduate, they had the motivation and the vision to get a job and not be on the streets. And so we talked about some possible solutions, but clearly one of the most powerful solutions that has been documented for years is mentorship. And we've done mentoring in a lot of ways, but this year we elevated or expanded our mentoring program at the high school. We recruited, or the high school recruited, close to 40 adults, many of them African American males, some were females like myself, it was across the board. And we really looked at students that needed a mentor in their life, but for the African American males, and we had, I think, 11 this year, we were able to connect with the Call Me Mister program at Clemson University. And those misters came to the campus on a weekly basis and added a second layer of mentorship. That relationship even included visits of the high school students to Clemson University with the mentors. And for many of our students, there was only a 1 or 2 year difference, and they would look at the mister and they would say, "Wow, I'd like to be here and go to school at Clemson. Is that possible for me?" And they would just respond by saying, "Sure, you just have to work hard, be a good student, and do your job as a high school student. That can be your dream too." And so we saw initially a real change in our students' vision of what was possible. So we're very excited to continue that relationship and to see how that's going to grow and hopefully impact these students who may not have ever had college on the radar, but now they see that there's some hope for that, and they can see that they themselves could be just like a mister. So that's going to be an exciting thing to continue to watch. Lastly, I'd like to share something that we started last year. We had Anderson 4 had created 4Kids Foundation, a 501c3, back in 2007, and it was based on a couple of donations that we received from in the community. And it has huge bylaws, a board, a governing board, and to be honest with you, the foundation just sort of sat. It never really was used, the money was never spent, and it is sitting. And so I went to the board and approached the board and said, I'd really like to be able to use that money to fund a couple things. Clearly, it all goes back to the student, but to provide the additional money that teachers may need to do that little above and beyond experience, learning experience for the classroom, but also for those programs that come to the superintendent on a frequent basis that need $2,000 for a field trip to go to New York or to Boston or wherever. But this gave me a very structured process instead of subjectively just approving one, and then when we run out of money, we can't do you. So the board was great with that. We went ahead and put the board back in action, the foundation board, talked about the new focus, and then I had to create a revenue stream, a way for me to be able to put money back in instead of spend down. And so we did our first color run last year, which was amazing to see 500 people for the first time out, excited, all colored up from the paint, but having enthusiasm over being physically active, because we have such a huge obesity issue here in South Carolina. I mean, we're number 2 in the nation for childhood obesity. So the event was powerful in terms of, you know, just the excitement, but we raised $12,500, which was a lot of money, and we were able to put all that money back into the foundation, and then had a grant application process, and we then awarded, the board evaluated those applications, and we awarded 7 teacher mini grants that were capped at $2,500, and then 2 students at Pendleton High School received $1,000 scholarships. So I'm thrilled with that, because I think that is so important, you know, to provide that type of resource for our students and our teachers is very significant. So our color run this year will be on September 15th at the high school at 4:30. Registration will start in August, and there'll be a big web presence and a way for folks to donate money, as well as if they just want to come out and run the race, or it's not really a race, but just be a part of the experience, they can do that. Anderson 4, and I've worked, you know, in other districts. The one thing that is such a unique quality or characteristic of this district is that it's small, and it has such a intense protection to protect those family values and that sense of community. And so when folks come here, they really feel that sense of community. They really feel that, you know, they're a bulldog, and they feel that connectivity. But they also see, because we are such a high-performing school district, that we attract high-quality people that fill these positions. And, you know, I was in HR here for 12 years, and I know that our teachers are exceptional. And those are the hands that are really doing the work when it comes to the learning, student learning. And I'm just excited to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years, of how we're going to continue to see even more extraordinary things happen here in Anderson 4. And I do believe it's because of the people.